Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bucknuts One-on-One. This is Alex Gleitman of Bucknuts.com and 24/7 Sports, here with Torrance Gibson of American Heritage in Plantation, Florida, the Fort Lauderdale area. Torrance, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. We appreciate you coming on. So before we get into the good stuff, your recruiting that everybody wants to know, I believe you guys won a state title this past fall, right?
Yeah, we won a 5A state championship.
Congratulations on that. I know you were obviously a big part of that, playing quarterback for your team, your first full year as a starting quarterback there. So congratulations on that. What have you been doing kind of the fall since you won that to kind of prepare for next season and repeat as champions and get better as a player?
I've just been hitting the weight room. I'm running track now to get faster. All the rest of the players are still in the weight room. You know, we won a state championship, but that's the past now. We're on to the next one. Now we have to go get the next one in 2014.
You mentioned you've been in the weight room trying to get bigger, stronger, faster. What's your current height and weight?
6'4", 205.
6'4", 205. That's pretty good size for a quarterback. And have you run the 40-yard dash recently?
My recent one was a 4.37.
4.37. Wow. That is blazing fast. We knew that, you had a little experience playing defensive back, wide receiver, and obviously are the nation's #1 dual-threat quarterback, both in the 24/7 sports rankings and 24/7 composites. Definitely we see why with those measurables and that speed. I also know that, you've been working out a little bit. You went to the tryouts for the South Florida Express team. You played on that, last summer as well. How's that been going so far?
It's been going good. We're starting to crank it up again this year, and I just can't wait to play.
Yeah, so I know last year you played a little bit of quarterback, a little bit of wide receiver. You had a couple of high Division I level type prospects kind of mentoring you a little bit. Are you going to be playing solely quarterback this year for SFD, or are you going to be playing a little wide receiver and safety too?
I'm going to play a little both receiver and quarterback, because I like having fun in 7-on-7. I just don't like playing one position, having fun and enjoying the game of football.
Talked about quarterback and receiver a little bit there. I know, your goal is to be a college and then eventually one day NFL quarterback. But I know a lot of people down there, and they've told me that they think you could be a future first-round NFL pick at either quarterback or receiver. Do you have a preference of either one of those positions? And, are you only considering colleges that are looking at you as a quarterback? Or are you considering people that are also looking at you as maybe an athlete that could play either or even a receiver?
No, only quarterback. Quarterback has been my main position since I was a little kid. And, I always wanted to play quarterback and be one of the best quarterbacks ever. And I just want to play quarterback.
Yeah, it seems like you're certainly on your way there. And with the way the game's going in today's world, the dual-threat quarterback is becoming, more and more popular. You're seeing NFL teams, Colin Kaepernick, Robert Griffin III, Johnny Manziel is going to be a high draft pick this year. There's a lot of really talented players on that level. And then, at the college level, there's plenty. Obviously, at Ohio State, you have a Braxton Miller types. You've had Terrell Pryor. You've had other guys like that. So you definitely fit that mold of that quarterback that's coming out and being more popular in today's game. But, moving on to your recruiting, obviously you've been a really busy guy. It seems like you almost get an offer a day. You have a really impressive list. You've kind of blown up. We mentioned you're the #1 dual-threat quarterback in the country. I know when it comes to Ohio State, you're #1 on their recruiting board. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with the recruiting process. How crazy has it been? What are some of your new offers and things of that nature?
Well, I've been just taking it slow. I'm just enjoying the recruiting process, and I'm just having fun with it. I talked to all the coaches. They are great coaches, but, you just have to choose one college, and that's what I'm going to do. But now I'm just taking it really slow. I'm not committing no time soon, and I'm just enjoying it right now.
I know Ohio State, all the Florida schools, Auburn, Oklahoma, Alabama. The list goes on and on and on. There's a ton of schools after you. Are there, is there maybe like a list of schools that are kind of sticking out early on for you? I know you have to take some visits and you want to take your time, but right now, are there schools that maybe are recruiting you a little bit harder than others or are sticking out a bit?
Yeah, there's a couple of schools that are recruiting me harder than others.
Do you mind sharing which ones those might be?
Yeah, Tennessee, Ohio State, Auburn, Clemson, Miami, Florida, LSU, and Oklahoma.
Now, you mentioned Ohio State. Obviously, you're on the show. This is Bucknuts One-on-One with Torrance Gibson. This is the Ohio State 24/7 site. So tell us a little bit about Ohio State. I believe Coach Smith was down there seeing you throw. You've been talking, I know, Mark Pantoni. You've been in touch with Urban Meyer. What do you like about the Buckeyes?
We have a great coaching staff. Urban Meyer, he's a great coach. Mark Pantoni, he's a great coach. Zach Smith, he's an awesome coach. Tom Herman, great offensive coordinator. And, they have a great coaching staff up in there and up in Columbus. And I just can't wait to take the visit.
And Urban Meyer, obviously, when you were growing up, he was head coach of the Florida Gators, and he led them to 2 national championships, a bunch of BCS bowls. Now he's at Ohio State. Did you follow Urban Meyer when he was at Florida when you were growing up? And what is it like to have the opportunity to play for a guy like that that's produced some really incredible quarterbacks such as Tim Tebow and Braxton Miller?
Oh, yeah, I watched Urban Meyer when he was coaching at Florida Gators, and what he did with Tim Tebow is amazing. He won several national championships with the Florida Gators, and he almost doing the same with Ohio State. And Urban Meyer, he's just a great coach to be around. He has a great personality, and I just like him. He's a great coach.
What's the Buckeyes been telling you? I mean, obviously, I believe, anyone would have to believe watching them that you fit their system kind of like a glove. What have they been telling you in terms of how they use you, when you come in, how early you play, things like that?
They said I was feeling good, because we run the same offense as Ohio State. My offensive coordinator run the same offense as Tom run his offense, and me and I'll fit great in their offense. They run a spread attack. When we run a spread attack, we run a fast tempo. They run fast tempo. So me and Ohio State offense are just similar.
You haven't been up to Columbus yet. They're really high on your list right now, though. When do you plan on making a visit to Columbus?
I'm going to try to make it during the summer or spring.
Summer or spring. So I know there's a bunch of South Florida guys. I think Shamar Kilby-Lane, you probably know him. A couple others that are maybe considering going up for the Ohio State spring game, I think, in April. Is that a possibility for you to make it up for that as well, or are you kind of still figuring that out?
Yeah, if a lot of the players are going to make it to the spring game, I might as well go with them so we all can just take a visit together.
So it looks like the spring game's a possibility for Torrance Gibson to check out the Buckeyes. Again, this is Bucknuts One-on-One with Torrance Gibson. I'm Alex Gleitman. And Torrance, just real quick on Ohio State, a question we've had on our boards a lot. You mentioned that you're not going to make a decision for some time. When do you plan on making a decision? I think you right after your senior season at one of the All-Star games or possibly signing day. What are you thinking in terms of a decision?
Right now, I'm thinking of committing 1 week before signing day.
Okay, so obviously, if you're going to, wait that long, Ohio State, they certainly, could be in the mix for a couple other quarterbacks. I know that there is a possibility they take 2 in this class. If Ohio State were to take another quarterback, would that impact your decision, or, any school besides Ohio State? If another school had another quarterback in your class, would that impact your decision at all?
I'm not really sure. If a kid commits to Ohio State or any school, it won't impact my decision on the school. I'll just have to go in there and just compete for the position. That's what I do. I just compete, and the best man will win.
Yeah, I mean, in today's world, whether it's someone in your class, someone a year older than you, someone behind you, a couple years older than you, at the big schools like that, there's always competition. So you don't seem like the type that's going to be, shy away from that type of competition, from what I know about you.
Oh, no, I don't run away from competition. I love to compete. I love to go against the best, and I love to have fun.
And has Ohio State said anything to you about taking 2 quarterbacks or, waiting for you? I know, as I said, I believe they told you that you're the number 1 target on their board. So what have they kind of told you about that situation?
They haven't really spoken on taking another quarterback. I don't think any school has talked about that. But if they do, it is what it is. I'll still like the school. Nothing will change. I'll just go in there and compete and give it my all.
And just a couple more questions here. When you talk about, a school that you're looking forward to committing to one day, what are some of the things you're looking for, the factors that are going to make or break that decision for you?
Great academics, great campus life, great coaching staff, and the school has to just fit me, and we have to run a spread attack. We don't always have to run a spread attack. I like going under center too. That's fine with me, and the school has to feel like home, and I just have to have fun.
All certainly important factors when making a college decision, whether you're playing collegiate athletics or just looking to be an average student at a school. And then last question, as you work and you develop as a quarterback, what are some of the things that you feel you do well right now? And then what are some of the things that you feel that you need to work on this offseason to get better for next fall?
When the pocket breaks down, I can get out of the situation. Most quarterbacks can't do that. I have a great arm. I throw 75 yards accurate. And some of the things I need to work on is my timing. Some people say I throw off my back shoulder, which I do sometimes because I throw with all strength of my arm, which is a bad thing. And I need to start hitting the targets coming out of their break because, I wait too long hitting the receivers coming out of their break, and it becomes interception or slap down.
Yeah, I'm sure, those types of things just come with, your natural progression and getting better and working every day in practice, whether it's with South Florida Express or whether it's with, your school, American Heritage. So those things will definitely come. And I just, remember one last thing. Ohio State has 3 commits in their class of 2015. One is Eric Glover-Williams. He's from Ohio. He's a tremendous athlete. But their other 2 commitments are actually from Florida. I don't know if you know, yesterday, Ben Edwards from Jacksonville Trinity Christian Academy, he actually committed to Ohio State, and then Jamel Dean from Cocoa, a defensive back, is committed. So that's 2 out of 3 players in Florida, or 2 out of 3 commits in the class of 2015 are from Florida. I know they're in on a bunch of other guys. Some guys, on your South Florida Express team, such as Devontae Pete and Shamar Kilby-Lane. Is that something you're gonna look at when you consider a school like Ohio State, when they have guys like that, and then Johnny Dixon from this year's class? Is that something that can maybe make you a little bit more comfortable with Ohio State?
Oh yeah, because you definitely have to have weapons when you're going against a big team like Alabama, Florida State. You got to have a lot of weapons on your team. I'll definitely be looking into that and all of the recruiting and all the teams.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Torrance. We appreciate you coming on the show. We appreciate, everything you've done for Bucknuts and the Ohio State Buckeyes so far, and we want to wish you the best of luck. We'll be sure to keep in touch.
All right, thanks for having me.